Welcome back to Sports Dump, Lewis County's only sports podcast, but not an award-winning sports podcast. Tonight was Best of Lewis County.
And we did not win yet again.
Shut out. Was anybody else shut out, notably in local? We'll get to that. Lewis County's only sports podcast is sponsored by Elam's Home Furnishing and Mattress Gallery, Global Septic, and AmeriCool Heating and Cooling.
How'd they do?
Schwartz, you're sitting in. Any insight?
No, I don't have any insight. I know that Summit Funding.
Ooh.
Summit Funding is a champion.
So the News Dump sponsors get to win awards, but we don't know about the Sports Dump sponsors.
Sports Dump. Pick up Saturday's edition of the Chronicle to learn more about Best of Lewis County. Or perhaps you went and you are driving home and listening to this. I don't know if it's over yet. Probably not. Anyway.
This is a great start.
Yeah, coming in hot. I'm Aaron Vantow, joined tonight by sports editor Josh Kirschenbaum, sports reporter Dylan Wilhelm, and sports clerk Kody Christian. Our first item, WF West won the Chronicle Cup, and people have thoughts.
Yeah.
So WF West beat Centralia 1-0 last night at Tiger Stadium in a heavy fog.
It was a conspiracy. Mother Nature was out to get Centralia, I think.
Even Mother Nature didn't want anyone to see what was about to transpire on the turf at Tiger Stadium. Reese Mishler scored the only goal of the match in the only match of the two-game series.
Sorry, only goal of the two-game series.
Yeah. In the 36th minute, while it was still vaguely clear out, the aggregate...
It got foggy. Sorry, I didn't put this in the notes. It got so foggy. I don't know if people saw the...
Pictures look cool.
The pictures look cool. If you saw the videos, like, you could not see across the field. I was talking to both coaches after the game. Kevin Schultz had a great quote that was like, yeah, I just basically said what I normally would say during a game and just kind of like hoped that they did what I told them to do because I couldn't tell what they were doing.
Yeah.
Just a field of shadowy figures moving in the distance.
100%. They would take corners and you would just wait for the ball to appear. And I heard them in the box basically be like, somebody yell when you're about to kick the ball because there's no other way to know that it's about to be coming.
They're playing blindfolded out there.
Yeah,
the element of surprise.
And of course, WF West was wearing white uniforms, so they just completely blended in.
The aggregate of the series ended up being 1-0, and since the first matchup ended 0-0 before Centralia won in a shootout to determine a winner for the league standings, WF West is the Chronicle Cup champion this year. People have thoughts. Should we go to the comments on the various posts about this?
Oh, did we have comments?
There are some comments.
Record-breaking numbers.
Yeah. To be clear, the Chronicle is 100% biased towards WF West now, switching from when it was biased towards Centralia and focusing more on the Tigers when they won the first volleyball matchup last month, switching from how it was biased towards WF West for focusing on WF West baseball and track in the postseason, switching from how it was biased towards Centralia when it reported on them beating WF West in softball last spring, switching from how it was biased towards WF West when the Bearcats won last year's Swamp Cup and the basketball games. One thing I always told people, and I was discussing this with our one-man audience, Schwartz, earlier tonight, people will look at one result or one instance and be like, wow, I can't believe the bias in this reporting, and why don't you cover both teams equally, and blah, blah, blah. You have to look at like a wider swath of coverage than just one single issue. There's 3 papers a week. There's a good chance that there's equal coverage for your favorite team in one of those editions. Look at it over the course of the season and then ask yourself, hey, did my coach call anything in? Things like that. See how many times a photographer showed up at your games. And then ask yourself, is your team any good? If your team is 0-20 over the course of the season, we're not going to send a photographer out as many times. You know why? Because it's depressing to run front page story after front page story, which is generally what the photos will lead to.
And I want to jump in. Wow, this is how Schwartz feels every week, right? That this has absolutely nothing to do with anything Centralia is doing because, at least for soccer and volleyball, which we'll get into, Centralia is having a great season and we are going there because they are one of the best teams in the league. And also Luis, their head coach, is great at calling them in. So I don't really know where you're going with this.
I'm just speaking in general of my own experiences, not anything based on how Centralia's been this year or the relationship between WF West and Centralia and the Chronicle this year.
Yeah.
Just in general, like people would be like, whoa, why didn't you do this? It's like, well, look at the whole picture.
Yeah. This was different, but also yes, we are 100% biased always, all the time, against you in particular. You listening at home.
I always like to tell people that my goal was always that every local team loses, because then their playoff runs will be over faster.
Yeah.
And we can get to summer where back in my day we screwed around. Anyway,
people had opinions.
I'll read. Yeah, I'm not going to read the comments. They're just like spiteful. Not even spiteful. Just like
people were mad because Centralia people believed that they should be awarded a goal for winning in a penalty shootout, which is a valid thought within the context of the league standings, because in the league standings that game counted as a 1-0 win for Centralia, and the reason it counted as a 1-0 win for Centralia is because the EVCO's website and the WIA's website cannot compute a game that has an even scoreline as a win for either team.
Yeah.
So in order for it to go into the standings as a win for Centralia, Centralia has to have more goals than WF West. To be clear, they didn't score a goal. Like, they won 1-0, but
it was a shootout.
It was a shootout. Nobody gets credit for that goal. Nobody gets credit for allowing that goal. WF West's goalkeeper still gets credit for a shutout, even though technically she lost quote unquote 1-0. It doesn't factor into their goal differential, which is a tiebreaker that is less important when you are dealing with penalty shootouts. The whole point of penalty shootouts is to untie a game that is tied without having to score an actual goal.
Yeah, without just having to play golden goal forever.
Exactly. And so I talked to, when we found out that this was a scenario, and I called both coaches and I was like, what's going on? And they had different opinions, as you can imagine. I called 10 separate coaches in the area, because obviously we were going to have to make a call before the game. And I asked them their opinions. They gave me a split set of opinions, basically. They were, I'm going to throw the coaches under the bus. I really wanted them to all tell me one way was right or the other way was right, and they split pretty much even. But the people who were in favor of giving Centralia an extra goal were coaches who said that's how they do it in the league, and this is a separate competition that has absolutely nothing to do with the league. And the coaches who disagreed with that said that's how it works in general soccer competitions. If you look at the World Cup, say the last World Cup final was a tie, and if you look at the score online, it is listed as a tie, and then Argentina won in penalties. That's kind of how it works. And there are other things to get into, but that was the rationale. People are going to be unhappy with it. The main thing I wanted to do when I posted on Facebook was get it out into the world, because nowhere before had it been posted how those tiebreakers worked. And now I'm just hoping that people know going forward. I talked to the coaches that started this series, and they told me how it was, and we copied that. And now it is out in writing that that is how it is, and hopefully we never have a situation like that. And that's really all I want to say about this any further.
Yes, but have you considered the fact that you're all a bunch of cheaters?
Yes. I will touch on the one comment that said we wouldn't know soccer if it smacked us clear in the head. Anybody who knows me and has met me in person, the reason my nose isn't straight is because that occurrence actually happened multiple times.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I broke my nose.
Know.
I broke my nose twice playing goalkeeper, and I guess a couple of people in.
Did the goals make it in?
They did not make it in.
Okay.
One of them actually got called back for offsides in the build-up, and that was really disappointing. But the one that knocked me out. But yeah.
Real life Scott Sterling.
Yeah, pretty much. Some people, I guess, wish I'd gotten kicked a little bit harder, but to their disappointment, it didn't happen.
Also, it's important to remember, like, this trophy didn't exist like 2 years ago. Chad just invented it out of whole cloth. It was like, hey, what if we focused more on soccer and gave the kids a trophy if they beat their rivals?
And also for tying into the any accusations of us getting paid by either school. What if we just paid both schools an equal amount of money to sponsor this competition?
Yes.
So we're actually taking negative bribes on this.
Yeah, it's like I If this is the one thing you have to be really concerned about, not winning a tiebreaker in a soccer rivalry that is kind of cool, but like as far as league standings go, doesn't mean anything.
They're tied. They're both in a district spot, and from here on out, like they both have, I think, 2 league games left. The league season ends next week. They're both having Centralia is having the best season it's had in a long time. WF West is having a good season. They've turned it around, and now hopefully they can actually like go on and win the things that matter.
Also, not to be lost in all this Centralia WF West drama, Centralia beat WF West in 4 sets in the second Swap Cup match of the season. Centralia volleyball, pretty good.
Also having their best season in a long time.
Yeah, they clinched at least 4th place in the EVCO, and they're now assured of a spot in the district tournament. Let's hope they can go pretty far.
Yeah, I believe they're a game or 2 back of Aberdeen, and I believe they play, I want to say Tuesday. They have 3 matches left. If they want to get out of that pigtail play-in game, they got to get above Aberdeen. We'll see if that happens, but they at least are there. So props to Marty Smith and company over there.
All right, this podcast brought to you by Global Septic, providing septic service and portable sanitation for Thurston, Lewis, Mason, Cowlitz, and Grace Harbor counties. If you run into Josh Kirschenbaum
You want to stuff me
in
down
the wild and want to stuff him down to the bottom of a porta potty,
They will bring it to you.
Global Septic is your guys to go to, providing septic pumping inspection and riser installation, commercial septic pumping, grease trap services, and as always, they'll rent you a porta potty and a sink to go with it. Wash your hands after you flush Josh. Visit globalseptic.com or call 360-736-2167.
Those are some fancy porta potties that actually have flushes.
You know, there's some
You're
road...
just stuffing me down a porta potty and letting me sit in that little chamber, huh?
Yeah.
Even worse.
Football headlines from last weekend. The 1Bs, Mossy blew out Nasil 62-8. Mossy coach Eric Olakainen said they had our number for a long, long time. We kind of squeaked by them last year, but we wanted to, on our way out, give them something to remember us by. Is Mossy going back to 11-man?
They sure think so.
Okay. They led 42-0 at halftime. Easton Kolb ran for 161 yards and 2 touchdowns and went 7 of 10 for 219 yards and 3 scores passing. Mossy had 8 offensive touchdowns, all but 1 of which went at least 30 yards.
I sent Dylan to this game thinking it was going to be really, really good. And I was wrong.
Just a butt whooping. Just a good old-fashioned one team just completely outclassed the other, which was really surprising because from what I've heard, Nacelle is typically do that to other teams, and like Eric said last year, seemed to be a closer game, but Mossy Rock didn't seem shocked. I was pretty shocked at how quickly they just got if they didn't run the clock, they might have put up 100. I mean, It was 2-play touchdown drives, scoop and scores. It was kind of the old get to 40 and slow down, because if they didn't, that could have been a lot worse. And somehow they won by 54, and somehow it was not as close as the score indicated.
All right.
I mean, I think they were my sleeper, like a state sleeper. Or actually, no, I think they were my state favorite. But they really went from contenders to they could do something.
They'll make some noise for sure.
End of November, early December.
All right. In the 2Bs, Toledo beat Adna 35-7. Kody, instant reaction 3 days later.
I mean, I picked Toledo, didn't I?
Guess what? They scored a touchdown on your quote-unquote stupid play.
I told you.
Ethan Carver, whose name is spelled with 2 E's.
Yep.
We have been informed, ran for 304.
Gotten it right the entire season.
Yeah, it was wrong on the Athlete of the Week thing.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. I don't know who designed that. 314 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns. Toledo scored 3 touchdowns in the first quarter, led 21-7 at the break. Then Carver opened the third and then the touchdown to get momentum back. How are we feeling about Toledo? They are ranked number 2 in the RPI board.
To quote both of us from last year, they are Toledo.
Yeah, they're fine.
Carver is he's a good tailback. Talking to Mike Christensen after the game, his quote was that he's a young senior, because he didn't start playing football pretty much until, I think he said it was in 8th grade. He got hurt both of his first 2 seasons. I think he got hurt last year after sort of starting to get into the tailback. He got obviously sort of fit in with, your Jeff Glasses last year. He's the main guy, and this is his first real season getting, 20 carries a game, and he's dangerous. He's fast. Obviously, Toledo, to be the main fullback in Toledo, you need to be able to hit people and go through people and fall forward for, turn a 2-yard gain into a 5-yard gain or whatever. But when he hits the hole, he's gone.
All right. Also on Saturday, Napavine 70, Kalama 12. Napavine fumbled the opening kickoff, and Kalama scored to take a 6-point lead. And then Napavine scored 8 touchdowns in the first quarter and kind of kicked the crap out of them.
You don't see a lot of 50-point quarters these days.
I don't even know how you have enough time for that. Like,
Yeah.
obviously it happened, but it took me a while to process how that actually, like,
Cody got
Yeah,
there.
just from a logistics standpoint.
I was at this one, and I actually remember they had scored 50 points, and there was still like 4 minutes left in the first quarter. And I couldn't even tell you how it happened either. And I was standing on the sidelines watching it. I mean, I was taking videos for the Instagram stories, and it's like I was worried my phone storage was going to run out of room because every video I took was a damn touchdown. I got there, and like I said in here, the Napavine, I don't know if it was an intentional onside kick or just a terrible kick. I couldn't really tell, but it shot right to one of their front line guys, and he dropped it, and Kalama got it and scored like 2 plays later. And me and possibly a lot of the stadium there were thinking this might actually be a good choice to go to this game, might actually turn out. And then it was just all Napavine like you would not believe. And yeah, like I was, like I told a photographer from Kalama I was talking about, they were on pace to score 200. So
It's quite a bit.
yeah.
Ashton Demarest was 6 of 7 for 142 yards passing with 3 touchdowns. Also ran for 115 and a touchdown. Cale Stanley, Cale Kelly, Carson Denault, Caleb Von Pressenton. What a lineup of names. All ran in touchdowns. Backup quarterback Grady Wilson hit Becca Blander for a touchdown in the 4th. Napavine held Kalama quarterback Aiden Brown to 6 of 26 passing and picked him off 4 times, including a pick 6 from Connor Holmes. Aiden Brown, I have been led to believe, was leading Southwest Washington in total passing and rushing yards combined for all quarterbacks.
That graphic got pushed out after this game.
Wow. I don't know
put
that
that
I believe
graphic
that.
It was the Columbians. So when they say "quote unquote" Southwest Washington, they mean
It's teams that the Columbia Colors.
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
We're not south and west enough for them.
Clearly not. Yeah, and then we have a college football score. UW beat Oregon 36-33. Josh, would you like to discuss?
No, I just wanted to put that out on the air on this podcast.
You should be very proud of yourself.
Yeah.
How was the game,
I
boys?
do just want to add that was one of the most electric.
Oh, you guys were there, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yes, Josh and Dylan were there.
Did you guys go together or you just both happened to be there?
We just both happened to be there.
Alec was there. We said hi for you.
Oh,
He
really?
said hi to you.
Oh, good. That's nice. I don't believe you, but that's nice.
Yeah. But
He
yeah,
was
now
covering it, wasn't he?
yeah,
Yeah.
now I have a new favorite movie.
Yeah, you do. Move over.
2022 UW Oregon game.
Yeah, move over, Oppenheimer. This podcast is brought to you by Elam's Home Furnishings and Mattress Gallery. If you've scored 50 points in the first quarter and just need a place to sit, go see our friends at Elam's Home Furnishings and Sleep Center. Take
I
a
think
little nap.
Napavine should like invest in a good bench for its starters because they sit for a while.
One of those
Just
heated
like get them
benches.
some recliners.
Yeah.
Actually, I got a question for perhaps someone with more expertise on football rules. Is there a rule against a running clock in the first quarter?
No.
Is
you
this
agree
the
to it.
second half?
It's the second half unless the teams agree to start it in the first half.
It would have been a really sick flex for like Josh Fay to go over to Kalama's coach and be like, "Hey, let's things get out of hand in the first quarter. We'll just kick the running clock in then, huh?" Would have been funny.
Or if you would have said no and tried to put up 100 in the first half.
Yeah,
Josh, you want to get this clock running? No.
I don't think we will.
If he dies, he dies.
Yeah, Elam's Home Furnishings, locally owned, family owned, here to stay. You can go check out all their wares. They've got a great selection of living room, bedroom, and dining room furniture, entertainment centers, home accents. Those are important, you know. It really turns a house into a home, people say. 1530 South Gold Street in Centralia is their showroom, or you can check them out online, elamshf.com. Other games last week, Black Hills jumped out to a halftime lead and held on to beat Centralia 34-21 in the Battle of Beatons. That was
something had to give and something gave.
Something had to give. Black Hills was up late, and the group chat on Slack was like, "They're gonna come on, Centralia. You know they're vulnerable." Oh, well. Jackson Beck passed for 346 yards and 3 touchdowns, and Roman Cando for Centralia. His name, if you sound it quickly, sounds like Roman Candle, which is cool.
Yep.
Ran 23 times for 112 yards and 2 touchdowns. Over in Chehalis on homecoming, WFS pulled away in the second quarter to beat 3A Prairie 26-8. 6-0 at halftime. The Bearcats got 2 quick touchdowns early in the third thanks to an interception, and Gage Brumfield ran for 138 yards and 2 touchdowns and also passed for 2 touchdowns. WF West, they coming along? They're good?
They're coming along. Their problem has been they're the opposite of Black Hills. It's just starting games. They have not scored more than 7 points in the first quarter all season long. And eventually that might come back to bite them if you get, like, their defenses kept them in it. I think they've led 6-0 or like 14-6 each of the past few games because their defense has been able to keep those slim leads, but you're kind of playing with fire there.
All right. Tumwater 60, Shelton nothing. The third shutout this year for the Tumwater defense. Cooper Clark ran for 99 yards. Logan Cole ran for 95. Jalen Nixon ran for 89. More impressive win, Tumwater 60, Shelton 0, or Napavine 70, Kalama 12.
I expected more out of Kalama, so yeah, Napavine.
Okay.
For sure.
Yeah, I guess Kalama's like, they're decent, right?
Just beat on Alaska.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking watching that game. Is like I couldn't believe this Kalama team I was watching just beat on Alaska. It seemed like unbelievable.
Aberdeen 20, Rochester 8. Tate Cornstrom scored the Warriors touchdown, finished with 108 yards. Rochester fumbled it away 4 times, including once inside the Aberdeen 5-yard line. Where's the stat update?
Rest in peace. They ran for 206 yards. Does
that bring it below 400 now?
Probably.
Oh, well, you hate to see it. Tenino 14, Elma 6 in a monsoon. It was just a monsoon. And
I heard it was a downpour.
Is this in Elma?
Yeah.
It's not that far away.
I would call what was in Rochester a monsoon as well.
The Beavers stopped trying to throw the ball at halftime and went back to power football. Michael Vassar scored both touchdowns, and in 8 days, Tenino went from winless to guaranteed a crossover spot.
Shout out the Evergreen.
You know what? Snap away half the leagues.
Yeah.
I've said it.
And shout out the Power T. I did see on Facebook, Carrie Nagel did comment on the article and was like, proud of you. I wonder who taught them that.
You know the meme that's like, dudes will see this picture and just say, hell yeah? Like, that's Carrie Nagel looking at Tenino running the Power T. PO Valley beats Raymond South Bend 14-12.
Give them the Clash of the Hyphens.
The Clash of the Hyphens.
Clincher.
Yeah, they are the best Hyphens.
Back-to-back Clash of the Hyphens champions.
Blake Howard scored both touchdowns for PL Valley. Are we sure? We sure it was Blake Howard both times?
Probably.
Allegedly.
I haven't gotten too much
Good shot.
comments about that.
Finished with 74 rushing yards, and Nate Fluke was 12 of 18 passing for 125 yards.
The score line suggests that the weather out in South Bend was similar to the weather out in Elma, but the throwing the ball 18 times maybe doesn't. I don't know.
Interesting. All right, good for them. Ani blows out Stevenson 60-0. Lager scored 54 in the first half. Rodrigo Rodriguez, 11 carries, 266 yards, 2 touchdowns. Caden Mazingo, 6 carries, 134 yards, and 3 touchdowns. So 4 teams scored over 60 this week. Monster Rock, Napavine, Tumwater, and Ani. That's a lot.
Apparently, Stevens is not particularly good, as we have heard.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we've established that.
Yeah.
And we've also established over the course of the year, more often than not, if Rodriguez and Mazinga are getting the ball, good things typically happen, at least offensively.
They did tally 17 carries for exactly 400 yards. That feels like, I don't know, that's a little
right?
too on the nose.
How many carries?
17 for 400?
24 per carry about.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
That'll work.
Rainier,
That's that stats student coming out right now.
Yeah.
Rainier 36, Tudor Lake 6. Chris Gray ran for 143 yards. Hunter Howell had 88. Jake Meldrum had 2 rushing touchdowns. Dorian Cano and Josh Meldrum had 1 each.
It's just interesting because remember last week Jake Meldrum threw for 540 yards and 8 touchdowns, and last week he threw the ball 4 times.
Yes. This was 11-man, correct?
This was 11-man.
It's weird what happens when you throw those 3 extra dudes on there.
Was it also a monsoon?
Possibly. I think this one was in Tootle, so, I don't know.
Asotin 42, Morton White Pass 8. This was played in where?
Kennewick. This was a game that happened, yeah.
Morton White Pass scored their touchdown in the 4th quarter on a Judah Kelly to Tony Belgiorno pass. All right. Back in the 1Bs, Oakville 40, Sound
Oh, you're
Christian
gonna love this name,
22. Michael Perron.
Michel Perron.
Michel Perron.
Nice.
Took a kickoff back for a touchdown, also had an interception, and Courtney Price had both a receiving touchdown and a scoop and score.
Sound Christian, not great. Oakville better.
Yeah, what's Oakville's? What are they, like 2-5?
Something like that.
Winlock 48, Muckleshoot Tribal 14. James Cussin. He was cussing up a storm for 190 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Kidding? That's a slow day for him.
Yeah, didn't he have like 500 yards the other day?
500 over the past 2 weeks.
It's a
Landon,
casual Friday for James.
Yeah.
Landon Klein 4-4 passing, 82 yards and 3 touchdowns. What's how's Winlock? They're like what, 3-4?
I think they're 3-3 now, and I have zero clue how the 1B quote unquote crossover week works. But I think 3 teams go through. So right now it would be Winlock or Mossy, Nacelle, and Winlock.
Well, the things are always up in the air there. You're going to get a call from one of the 1B athletic directors who was like, hey, we saw your great work on the Chronicle Cup. We'd like you to come settle our playoff football standings. How do you feel? Come on.
Kansas tiebreaker. Who says no?
8-man Kansas tiebreaker.
Like, well, actually, they didn't score a touchdown. Like, get the hell out of here. This podcast brought to you by Americool.
Somehow
Heating-
Chehalis wins.
Americool Heating and Air Conditioning. Whether you are too hot or too cold, you can call their 24/7 emergency service line, 360-948-2718. Do not, overwhelm them with calls complaining about the playoff standings for the Chronicle Cup. They've heard enough. It was neither too hot nor too cold. It was just too foggy.
Yes.
Americool Heating and Air Conditioning. Your comfort is their business, providing full-service HVAC installation services and repair with a 100% satisfaction guarantee on everything they do.
Just like us, but apparently people are disagreeing right now.
Just like us, except for...
You know what? I think
54% of the time.
You think we've
we
driven
have
that bit into the
received-
ground?
I think, yeah. I
We
don't
have
think
received 0 hate comments for the actual podcast. All right.
yet.
So far. Shall
This
we
one
do?
hasn't gone out yet.
Shall we do grid picks?
Sure.
Let's see. Look at the standings. Josh is 69-18.
Nice.
I am
Nice.
69-18. Dylan
Nice.
67-20. Cody 16-27. Jordan with a commanding 71-16 lead. Chad 47-40. Oh, the local teams must have had a good week.
Yeah.
And former WF West athletic director Jeff Johnson is the guest this week. Centralia at Hoquiam. Josh, Jordan, and Chad and Jeff Johnson all went Centralia.
Don't tell the
Is
Centralia
Hoquiam-
fans.
Centralia bad? Or Hoquiam bad, I mean?
Hoquiam is not good. Hoquiam is very not good.
Haven't you done enough to upset the people of Centralia, Aaron?
I am a Centralia man. I can say these things. WF West at Aberdeen. We've got WF West across the board. Isn't Aberdeen kind of good?
They're
It's kind of
tied.
decent this year.
They're
yeah.
tied for second right now. Whoever wins this gets second,
And this is in the harbor.
and it's in the harbor.
I was told by
Weird things happen in the harbor.
That's true. It's foggy out there.
The soccer coaches will tell you that weird things happen with Grace Harbor.
I was told at the gym the other morning by a diehard Tumwater fan that he thinks Aberdeen will beat WF West. I didn't believe him enough to take him this week,
You
but
should have gotten him to be a guest picker.
I can
guy
ask
at
him.
gym.
He would absolutely love it.
Dude.
What gym were
I
you at
think-
with a diehard Tumwater fan?
Thorbex. He lives in Chehalis, and he sent all his kids to Tumwater. They each won its championship, something like that.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, the way I know him is the first time I picked against Tumwater, I think I picked North Kitsap, and he came up to me because he reads the paper and he goes, "You're that little son of a bitch that picked against Tumwater." And we've been talking about football every morning ever since.
Oh, that's fun.
Truly, yes.
Rochester at Tumwater. Everybody's got Tumwater except Cody, who picked Rochester.
Wait, what?
Nah, just kidding. Everybody's got Tumwater. Black Hills at Shelton. Everybody's got, well, let's see. You guys have all got Black Hills. I went Shelton.
Yeah.
You know,
What
they
was your
showed
thing
me a
about the
lot.
Black Hills Centralia game? Was the battle of beaten teams?
Yeah, the Battle of the Beatons. Yeah.
This is the battle of the beatens all but once.
Yeah. Yeah, you three have got Black Hills, and everybody else, including myself, has Shelton. You know what? I like their moxie in that 60-0 loss to Tumwater. Showed me something. Montesano at Tenino. You two, Josh and Dylan, were split. Dylan's got Tenino. Josh has got Montesano. Everybody else has Montesano except Chad. went to Nino.
That
I
may
don't
have
know.
been a mistake.
Montecito good.
Boston was very good.
I honestly
Dylan,
thought of a different school, and by the time I realized it, it was too late.
What school did you think it was?
Not a 7-0 team.
How stupid are we all going to look when
Oh, it's
Tenino pulls
Nino,
out this
yeah.
win?
It's just
Dylan's going to look really smart.
Never doubted it.
On Alaska at Adna, everybody's got Ani except Chad, who's got Adna.
One
as I
good
think he
Adna
is.
alum in this room.
That's
Chad's record is already beyond recoverable. Not that mine isn't, but
true. Yeah. Kody, how do you feel picking against your boys?
I worked last week and just gotta, I'll tell them what I told the guys I saw at the Napfine game. It's just for added motivation because they really need it coming down the home stretch of the season here to go into the crossovers.
All right, Toledo at Kalama. Josh, Dylan, and I have Toledo. Kody went Kalama, trying to make up some slack in the standings. Jordan went Kalama. Chad went Toledo, and Jeff Johnson went Toledo. Toledo, is this the game of the week, just from a competitive
It
standpoint?
might be.
I think so.
Better than Black Hills Shelton?
I mean, pure competition. Go
I
down
don't
to
know.
go down to Chinook country, walk up the hill, and go watch a good football game.
Get there early, see that sunset?
Oh, it's a good sunset. You got to get there early too because there's no parking at that school.
Yeah, it's rough. Napavine at Raymond South Bend. Everybody went Napavine. Okay. Probably going to be Napavine. Wakayakum at Rainier.
This might actually be the game of the week.
Really?
There are two undefeated. So there's in the West Division, these two teams are undefeated in the West Division. They played week 1 in a non-league game, and in that game, Wakayakum took a 4-point lead with 30 seconds left, and then Rainier marched all the way down the field in 30 seconds and scored a touchdown on the last play of the game. So if it goes like that, then yeah.
I mean, I can't take you seriously when you're telling me that Rainier is undefeated in league, and they are 2 weeks removed from an 8-man win.
That was not their fault.
No. Yeah, that should be a pretty entertaining game, probably.
What do you do when you show up and the other team's like, we have 10 people?
You're like, well, I guess we're playing 10 on 11. Get out there, you cowards. Peel Valley at Forks. Oh, at Forks? Is Forks good? What's their deal?
Fine.
No idea.
They lost to Raymond, I think, and they haven't played Napavine yet. So
All right, everybody's got Peel Valley except Jeff Johnson, who at Forks. Does he know something?
is it played after dark?
Yes.
Oof. Then the vampires will be out. The
That's
werewolves
true.
get to suit up.
Uh,
It's a full moon. Yeah, that's
Yeah. Mossy Rock at Winlock. Everybody's got Mossy Rock. Mossy Rock good.
yes.
Oakville and Muckleshoot Tribal. Everybody's got Oakville except Dylan.
This
who
may
went
have also been a
Is
mistake.
Is this who you thought Montesano was? Which
So Josh and I went rapid fire on this earlier because he called me.
Clearly.
And as we could see, there was some mistakes.
This is
I like you just don't know any M school. Millhouse.
Dylan can make if he somehow ends up being right on these two, he can make a drastic jump in the standings.
Yeah,
So
that's
that might
true.
be his attempt here.
And then Cedar Park Christian at Morton White Pass. Josh has got CPC. Dylan's got MWP. Kody, Jordan, and I all have Cedar Park. Chad's got Morton White Pass, and Jeff Johnson went Cedar Park.
Just
I know nothing about Cedar Park.
Yeah, I don't know
literally
why.
nothing. They're a 1A school from Bothell. I mean, shout out to Lee Metcalf for like finding non-league games that are
Yeah,
like,
he's keeping their schedule interesting.
Yeah. Better that than like just playing Toledo and calling it a non-league game, I guess. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Let's see some other sports. The 1A district golf tournament happened recently.
Yesterday.
Monday?
Ended
Yesterday?
yesterday.
David Dallaire was second. He will be the first Tenino golfer ever at state in May.
It's a cool thing.
Where hopefully the weather will be kinder to them than it was the last 2 days. Just bundled up, rain, wind. But yeah, Dallaire shot 150 over the 2 days, including a par 72
Pretty
on
good.
day one. He ended up losing the district title by 4 strokes, which he joked that's kind of his unlucky number of sorts. So this year he lost by 4. Last year, I believe he missed the cut for state by about 4, and then the year before he missed the cut after day one at the district tournament by about 4 or 5, give or take. So him and he was happy to get over the hump.
Yeah, and
Just talking with him after.
it's a really cool thing for a really young program. I think this is the 3rd year of Tenino having a golf team. Obviously getting better, and yeah, he'll be at the state tournament, which will be at one Riverside Golf Club in Chehalis.
Really? Oh, that's
Chehalis.
cool.
Yeah.
Let's see. The EVCO 2A Golf Championships were today. Dylan was there.
Von Wassen, still very good.
All right.
He was
the
the-
pride of Centralia.
He was the only one to shoot under par today. There was a little bit of a mix-up on 18. He ended up hammering a drive so far over some trees.
Just
that
too strong, man.
He assumed that he had lost the ball in the trees, took a drop, and later when he walked closer to the green, he realized, oh, shoot, I didn't lose it in the trees. I actually hit it over the trees.
Just too strong, man.
Hate
Ended
when
up
that
having
happens.
to take either a par or bogey instead of the birdie because he ended up playing both. But after some talk with some of the rules officials, he took the score on the drop ball. But even regardless of that, still finished under par, still won by 5 strokes.
And he gets
Pretty good.
Yeah, number 1 in the EVCO, number 1 of 120 to make it.
Yeah.
There was 41 golfers today. Most of them had already made the district tournament, and the ones who didn't only had to not shoot above 120.
Easier said than done sometimes.
Not saying I would make it.
Yeah.
So yes, every single
One.
every
I think,
single golfer in the league
I think-
just made districts.
Hell
I think
yeah.
last place had like 116.
He was
So
just
we got a
pushing
little
it.
close there at the end, but
That'll happen. Yeah, that's pretty cool. 2A EVCO tennis. Dylan was there today too. Where was this at?
was Tumwater and Black Hills. Let me see if I can pull up the updated bracket. So it was
It's a 2-day
Was this
tournament.
just
2
at
days
the
now.
Tumwater Valley Athletic Center? Where was that at?
No,
No,
this is
the-
at the high school.
Oh, okay.
They do the singles tournament at Tumwater and the doubles tournament at Black Hills, so you can go back and forth.
Yeah.
They did this last year too.
Yeah. And Justin Chung and Jacoby Corwin. Chung is with WF West, and Corwin is from Centralia, I believe. They're the singles finalists. And then doubles as well. It looks like it's Loving Foss and Wagner from Shelton, and then Bunn and Hook are the finalists for doubles from Tumwater. So the finalists have already clinched district berths, and then there's a couple consolation matches as well. I think you have to win your first consolation match to clinch a district spot, and then those two winners will play a third place game tomorrow. And those are all at Black Hills, which makes it easier on me not having to go back and forth, which I appreciate.
And this was take 3. This was supposed to happen on Monday,
Yes.
I think, and it got rained out. It got rained out yesterday. So we're getting them in.
2A Evergreen Conference Cross Country Championships were today. Josh was there. How was that?
I
Started right on time.
It
You were
did not
thrilled.
start right on time. It started about
Does it ever?
20 minutes late. Yeah, my line today is for a sport that is entirely about being fast and being as fast as possible. You would think they'd be better at maintaining a schedule and doing things quickly. They did not. Apparently they showed up to the track. It was the middle schools first and then the high school races, and they showed up to the course at Fort Borst, and there was a truck just parked in the middle of the course, and it took them a good 20 minutes to find the owner of the truck and move it. So they got off late, and then they kind of, you have to wait till the last runner for each race goes. So it got pushed back. There are actually not results online yet. I know a girl from Aberdeen won the girls' race, followed by a girl from Shelton, and then another girl from Aberdeen, and then a couple Tumwater kids came in 4th and 5th. And I left right as the boys' race started to get back here, racing back for a podcast that would not start for another hour and a half.
Well, things happen.
Sometimes things happen.
And Tumwater clinched the 2A Evergreen Conference titles in both soccer and volleyball yesterday.
Tumwater soccer beat Shelton, which lets me push my favorite stat of this fall, which is that Tumwater beat Shelton 6-0. The Tumwater soccer team gave up a goal in the first minute of its first game of the season and has not allowed another one since, for a shutout streak of 1,119 minutes.
That's pretty good.
I think that's even more impressive than not allowing a goal the entire season, is the fact that it happened
Yeah.
like that and hasn't happened since.
Isn't there's a baseball stat of a guy that threw back-to-back no-hitters
Yep.
or perfect games?
Johnny Vandermeer.
Was that it? And but one of them he took over for somebody that got. Was it like Babe Ruth got thrown out for punching an umpire in the first inning?
And then I don't know the guy.
He walked the guy. He walked the first batter of the game, and they got tossed for arguing balls and strikes.
Yeah. And then Vanderbeer, it's like that kind of thing. Like it's very cool little. Yeah.
Shout out, I think it's Harvey Maddox, I want to say, who in like the 50s or 60s threw 12 perfect innings, but his offense couldn't score him a run. And then he ended up losing the game 1-0.
Well, that was the
Shout out Harvey if you're still alive.
Shout out Harvey.
The Giants had the game. It was Warren Spahn versus Juan Marichal, and it went 17 innings, and I think it was 1-0. But yeah, Tumwater Soccer.
Noted sports dump listener Harvey Maddox.
Juan Marichal, thanks for listening.
Yeah.
And then just to
Never forget Rochester baseball player Dylan Fosnot, who threw 194 pitches in a district playoff game in 2015.
Just remember,
and now they have a rule against that.
I was about to say there was no pitch count.
No, they put a pitch count in the next year.
And just because this is why we ramble on and joke, scored just texted in. That's actually kind of a big deal. In Central 2B League Girls Soccer, on Alaska just beat Adna 2-1. So that's actually kind of a big deal. Adna had just lost to Kalama because Kalama is going to roll through everybody this year. But kind of that battle for second, third, and fourth between Adna, Napavine, and Onalaska, it was Adna, Napavine, Onalaska in that order. And now, or I guess it was Napavine, Adna, Onalaska, and now it's kind of jigged up a little bit because that's a really good win for the Loggers. Apparently, Adna scored in the second minute, and then Ani shut him out for the rest of the way. Sorry, Cody.
Cody, do you have something you wanted to add? Do you want to?
As we were saying earlier with Schwartz, I'm not much of a soccer guy, so I'll leave this to you guys.
Just a weight room guy. You just go to the weight room and talk shit. To an old man from Tumwater.
He talks shit to me.
Where are you guys going for Friday night's games?
So there's just nothing in the area.
Riveting slate.
So Dylan's gonna go to the Adna Ani game because that's in the area and game.
Okay.
Cody's gonna go to Winlock for the Mossy Winlock game for photos, and I'm gonna go to the best matchup in the 2B lower division. Wakayak and Rainier, baby.
Oh yeah.
Wow. All right.
Yeah. We'll have Matt Beatty at Rochester Tumwater too. So.
Oh, okay, good. Saw Matt today. He's doing well.
I think he's going to be there. If not, Cody gets that one.
I'm sure Matt will be there. He'll be around. Follow.
Actually, I don't think he is. Never mind. Cody, you're going to that game.
Oh, sick.
He's not available?
We're banking. We're saving up our Beatty hours for the postseason.
Live logistics.
Yeah.
Follow. Push the social medias. What do you guys want to plug?
Social media manager Cody Christian.
I mean, we already talked plenty about the Facebook. So.
Yeah, don't go to the Facebook.
Yeah, you've seen enough. Where can people follow you on Instagram? And are you going to add the link to this podcast in the bio and tweet your photo, but like link in bio?
Maybe.
You should do it. Why not?
At the Cronline Sports. At the Chronicle Sports. Sorry. That's
in the bio is a link to the sports section of the Cronline website. So if you just go ahead and go on there. I believe the sports bump is in there.
Yep, it will be.
So I will include that information this week. We'll have to find a new cover photo for this week's post.
You've got Dylan in Time Management for Dummies, right?
Yeah, I do have that one, but
we also have
Dylan didn't
whatever
seem
Schwartz had earlier.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I believe it's the logo for the fair. What's that lady's name?
Little Miss Friendly.
Little Miss Friendly, yes. So
Little Miss Friendly in that picture is now married with 3 children. Follow Cronline Sports on Twitter as well. Anything else you guys want to?
Be nice to us, man. Just be nice. Be nice to people, man.
Yeah, don't make jokes online about Josh getting hit in the face with a soccer ball. It's already happened. He feels bad about it.
He's got PTSD, man. Leave him alone.
Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you next week.